All right. So, my name is William Carter. I am 52 years old. Today is June 1st, 2019, and we are in Austin, Texas. I'm here with Thomas Carson Carter Jr., my brother. And Tom, why don't you, what year were you born and where did you grow up?
1963, and born and raised in Southern California. It's moved to Texas in 1990.
1990. What are some early memories of your parents and siblings?
I was an asshole as a big brother. I was the oldest of 5. I picked on them way too much. Let's see. So we when my stepdad and my mom got married, there were 5 of us. We lived in a very small 3-bedroom apartment or a house. It was very packed.
Where?
In Covina, I think. I forget.
West Covina was a house.
Yeah. It was the one that it was in. I remember 72. The earthquake was there. That's the house that I remember that I'm thinking of. I slept through the dang earthquake.
So. It was in an apartment?
No, it was a house.
It was a house.
Yeah.
72. So. That was probably West Covina?
I don't know. Not sure where that was. I remember we moved a lot at first. I tell everybody that I lived in 13 houses by the time I was 12 years old.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that. So wait, do you know why?
Well, partly because the split up between
Divorce.
Biological dad and mom. But we moved around a lot. I mean, obviously moved to Texas, moved back, lived in San Diego for a little bit, so.
Do you remember that move from California to Texas?
The only thing I remember is that we obviously were pretty poor because there was a hole in the bottom of the truck and you could see the ground going by all the way to Texas. So.
How old were you?
Probably 3 or 4.
Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
From people telling you, or you
No,
actually
I distinctly remember that. Yeah.
Wow. So
I don't remember much about living in Texas other than stepping on a rusty nail and having it go through my foot all the way. So.
Oh my God. And that was 1967, right? Because if you were 3 or 4, I was just born.
Yeah, you were.
And I was born at the end of 66. So, but you don't remember much else about living in Texas?
I do not.
And after Texas, where'd you go? We went back to...
Yeah, we came back to Southern California.
San Diego area, right?
Yeah, I think it was, but I don't think we were there for very long. It was pretty short. So we came back up to LA area.
After San Diego. What do you remember about our birth father?
The one physical characteristic I remember is, and again, this is just, I haven't seen him since I was 5-ish, right? But he had a tooth right in the middle of the roof of his mouth.
Oh, God. I didn't know that either.
So again, this is, 3 and 5-year-old Tom remembering, right? So this is kind of stuff that, I don't know why, it's been ingrained in my head, but I remember him literally having a tooth right there. It's like...
Wow. So, and he would show you, or would you
I remember seeing it. I don't remember he showed it off or anything, but yeah, I remember it there.
Huh. I don't remember that.
But I also remember him being kind of an asshole and a jerk. So,
how so?
I think you were probably 1 or maybe 2. And he played a quote-unquote April Fool's joke on Mom. Said you fell out the window from a 2nd-story apartment building, and we were at the emergency room. And then we went and sat at the phone booth, or sat down the street and watched her drive by, like in a panic. So, I don't know, just people who do that kind of stuff. And then just, obviously, just leaving and never basically wanting to have a life with us after I was 5 years old just doesn't make any sense to me.
Right.
So.
Do you remember any good times with him?
So, not really, but I do remember one time he took me to an LA Dodgers game, and I think it was just the two of us, and they were playing the Astros, and I was a Dodgers fan, and something good happened for the Astros, and somebody 2 rows up started cheering, and I literally said, "Man, you're cheering for the wrong team." So I do remember that he was there during that time because he tried to shush me.
Do you remember any other positive interactions with him?
No, I do. I say no, but I remember when he said that he was leaving, he woke us up, and I was all excited because I thought we were going to go for donuts. So I don't know if that was a big thing that he took us very frequently, but I don't think we had a whole lot of money. So that was my one thing that I do remember that he splurged on us for some of those types of things.
Wait. So he woke us up to tell us that he was leaving?
Yeah. Yeah, and I thought we were going for donuts or something, and so I was all excited.
So you didn't understand that he was saying goodbye to us?
Correct. Yeah. So, but I don't have a whole lot of recollection positively about him. That's for sure.
Yeah. You said that you picked on your siblings. What's an example of that?
Let me see. So, one time, I have no idea how it all develops, but you did something and ticked me off, and I think I made a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and literally nailed you down, with sitting on your chest, my knees over your shoulders, and us smishing the peanut butter and jelly sandwich into your face. So that was pretty bad. But I think also I used to practice my wrestling moves on you guys.
Yes, you did.
So at the time, I used to watch professional wrestling, which I know is fake, but tried to practice some of those moves.
Wait, it's not called professional wrestling. It's WWF.
Okay.
That's not professional.
That's what they called it back then.
Okay. So what's another example? What was it?
Let me see. I don't know. I mean, I can't think of anything overt, really specific. I just remember that I didn't like you guys being around, and for no particular reason, and I did my best to upset your lives. And I probably did that almost all the way through high school, so not literally physically, beating on you guys or whatever, but I do remember again pinning you or Mark down and fake loogie spits on you guys, and just sucking it back up. I'm sure that.
No, it wasn't fake. It was spit that you would let drip till it almost hit us.
Exactly.
What about you, and what was your relationship with Caroline, our sister, like when you were kids?
Again, I don't think I was a very good big brother, but by no means did I pick on her like I did you and Mark. It's very interesting. I have very few recollections of one-on-one interaction with her, perhaps all the way through up till when we both started going to high school together.
Where?
Bishop Amat, so private Catholic school.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, then we drove to school, frequently together and stuff like that. But other than that, I mean, I really don't remember much of interaction with her. I just don't.
All right, so when you think back about your childhood and your upbringing, let me think. All right, So tell me the names of your parents and where they were born and where they grew up.
So, Pauline Ann is my mother. Her birth name was Connor. She married it into Carter, and then after divorce became Denny. So, Pauline Ann Denny is her name now. She was born in England in '43 during World War II. Came here, I think, when she was 2 years old, and grew up in Southern California. Biological father, let me see, I think he was a couple years older. I think he was born in '41. Always U.S. I think he was born down in the South, but don't remember a whole bunch about that as far as his growing up. But I do know that, that whole side of the family kind of was a little bit racist, and that that's part of the reason I think that they split up way back when.
Who, mom and dad?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mom's told me that once or twice or before, and then my stepdad, who I call Dad, was born in Kansas. He's a couple years younger than Mom, so probably born in '46, I think. And he lived in Arizona for a while, then out in Southern California, and they met at work at Weiserlock.
All right. What was your relationship like with those three? Mom, dad, and Tom.
So I'll start with the short one. The biological father, there's none. I mean, literally, he tried to call me once when I was 20, but basically we have had zero interaction period since I was 5 years old. So
what was that phone call like?
I was trying to get off the phone as fast as I could. I just didn't want to have a relationship with him. And again, it's beyond my thought process of being able to, of leaving my kids. That's just beyond. I just don't get it. So
Okay.
I've done, tried to be pretty much the opposite of that with my kids. So my stepdad, I quote unquote rejected him for a while from being my dad, but I do respect the fact that he worked 2 jobs trying to make us have a better life than him. I mean, we started out when I was young, before I was 10, I still remember, drinking dried powdered milk because we couldn't afford real, being limited to 1 bowl of cereal, that type of stuff. I mean, but I never felt poor, but in hindsight, I felt like, man, we didn't have a whole bunch of money, but, he worked 2 jobs, trying to, get us ahead. And so, when I wrote up my own stuff about my own life, I basically told them both. I said, if they ever read it, I said, thank you for putting in all that hard effort. And my mom was the same way. I don't think she ever worked 2 jobs. But, they got up early, they worked every day, they tried to do the things that, to give us a better life than what they had. So I respect the hell out of both of them for that. My mom was interesting, and I'm sure she'll see this, but I don't remember, I literally do not ever remember as a kid her saying the words, "I love you." I never thought that she didn't love us, but she never said it. And that was always kind of interesting. And, I've tried to lead a different life with my kids. So, it's different. I'm not saying it was wrong. It was probably just the age, the time frame that we grew up in, et cetera. So it's just different, different interactions as a general rule between parents and their kids, back in the 60s versus the 90s or 2000s or whatever. But like I said, I respect the hell out of both of them because I know they worked their asses off to give us a better life.
So you said something about writing about your own life?
Yeah.
Say something about that.
So 5 years ago, 2014, I I wrote up something. I just decided I had a lot of free time. I kind of just started my own business. I had a lot of free time. So I did decide I wrote up two things. One was the history of Tom according to Tom. And so it's, again, my rec. So some of the things I've already just said that I wrote down there, but and I think your 5-year-old self, your 10-year-old self probably doesn't remember things the way they actually were, but that's why I called it the history of Tom according to Tom. So this was my understanding of this. So it was a single space 10-page document, about a lot of the stuff some of the stuff you're asking me and a lot more.
Available on Amazon?
No. And then the second one was called, is this PG or?
It's yours, whatever you want it to be.
The second one, and I am not a trained psychologist or anything, but it was called Who the Fuck Am I? And it was a attempt taking a psychological viewpoint of who are you? So this was me self-analyzing myself as if I knew myself inside and out, and I was a psychologist, like who I am. So that one was 12 or 15 pages, I think. Again, single spaced. So
You wrote it around the same time?
yeah, in fact I kind of wrote them in conjunction with each other. So.
And did you write them to give to somebody, or just to have, just to get it out?
Just to have,
just
for myself. So.
Just for yourself. And has any of your family members seen it?
No.
Would you share it with them?
Probably not.
Probably not. None of them?
Mm-hmm. I haven't yet. It's been 5 years.
What if somebody asked for it?
I'd probably still say no.
Still say no. Okay. Interesting. And what about, tell us about your job, your career for the last 30 years.
So I work in the retirement plan industry. So I help my clients, generally speaking, are companies that set up retirement plans for their employees to help them retire. So indirectly, I work with individuals and employees, but literally started doing that in 1987. So I'm one of the very few Americans that have been in one career my entire professional life. So I started out at a company called Howard Johnson and Company back in Los Angeles, worked there for 3 or 4 years, moved here to Austin in 1990, worked at a place called Plan Data from 1990 to 2003. 2003 to 2012, I worked at a company called Maxwell Lock and Ritter, and then I started my own company called Retirement Plan Fiduciaries. So they've all been in the same industry with a little bit of a tweak on, kind of what we emphasize and what we do. And so, my current company that I run myself, those are my niche clients are companies that set up retirement plans, but I also do investment advisory work and financial planning for individuals as well.
And when did you start this business?
2012.
2012. All right. You happy with your business?
Yeah, I'm literally making 3 times as much money as I was at Maxwell Lock and Ritter, and I work about half the hours, so it's pretty sweet.
Yeah. All right, so what would you like to have said to your parents that you never have been able to?
I think I've already said it. Thank you for all the hard work and putting us on the proper path. I wish they had been a little bit more affectionate, but I'm not sure it would have changed who I am. I don't know. But those are probably the 2 things that I probably never directly told them. So,
describe one of your most difficult memories. I'm sure peanut butter jelly sandwich is right up there.
That's not it. Not even close. So as I wrote up stuff about who I am, I've kind of figured out that I'm a little bit of a control freak. I don't like being out of control. The issues that have probably come up that have affected me the most is when my kids were little and they would get sick or something would happen to them and I could not help them or control it. Those were probably some of my most fearful moments. So Alicia has had two major health scares. One when she was 18 months old. She was in the hospital for 10 or 11 days, had kind of an arthritic hip, but it was, and I didn't even know this until like halfway in, but it was literally life-threatening that I did not know that. But I knew that my 18-month-old kid was in pain, and it just drove me nuts. And then when she was 18 years old and she got cancer, thyroid cancer, and had to have her thyroid removed again, there was just nothing I can do, and it's just just you feel helpless, and it's the worst feeling in the world to me.
Right. So briefly, your three kids are
Alicia Christine Carter,
born.
She was born in 1991. Robin Nicole Carter. Both of them are going to change their last names here shortly. She was born in 93, and Patrick Anthony Carter, who was born in 94.
All right. Who was someone that's not a family member that had an influence on your life growing up?
Growing up. So.
Or who were some of your friends?
Yeah, I'll go back. First of all, I cannot remember anybody that I feel like had a really strong impact on my life that was a kind of a father figure type of thing. I think part of it was because we moved so often that I just never got a relationship with anybody like that. So that one's kind of a little bit of a stumper. I can't think of anybody professionally. I can think of somebody, but that's not part of growing up. And then what was your second question on that?
Name some of your friends growing up.
So Steve Silva, from basically kind of fifth grade through through college, was probably my best friend at the time. It was a weird relationship. I was a goody two-shoes. He was kind of a little bit of a troublemaker, but we got along pretty well. So that would probably be the first person I thought of. And it's really weird because I literally haven't seen him. So it's probably since I was 25-ish.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't seen him for almost 30 years. So.
And y'all went to the Marines together, right?
Yeah, we did. So
what year?
I graduated in high school in '81. I basically took a year off, went to boot camp in Marine Corps, boot camp and schooling, and then came back, got a part-time job, and then went back to school the following year. So I took a year off from school before I went back to college. So.
All right. Describe your first kiss.
So her name was Karen, and it was
Karen who?
Marino. Karen Marino. So it literally wasn't until my senior year of high school, unfortunately. But she asked me to the Sadie Hawkins dance my senior year of high school, and we kind of dated off and on until I went over to the Marine Corps, and then we kind of broke up from there on. So.
I see. And you've been how many times you've been married?
Just once.
Just once. And describe the proposal.
Is that really on there? Or is this my story?
Describe your proposals. I made it plural because these are questions for Mom.
All right. So we had just started we had just started my senior year of college.
Who?
So both Sue and I.
Okay.
So Sue's my wife. And so this was in, literally I proposed on October 2nd, 1986.
Your birthday.
So it was my birthday. And we went out, we were drinking, and we were at the company where I worked at the time, which is called MacArthur's. So it was a restaurant. It had a bar. So we just hung out there. And there were, 4 or 5 of us, 6 of us maybe. And so Sue was going to pay because it was my birthday, and because I knew the bartender, I slipped him my credit card to pay for everything. And Sue got pissed at me, so we kind of got in a pretty big fight and argued back and forth. And so at some point in time, I almost felt like we were going to break up. We'd only been dating for 3 or 4 months at the time, but I mean, I had kind of was thinking about proposing anyway. And so in the middle, kind of sort of almost in the middle of the fight, when I started to go south, I literally said, what the fuck? Literally I said that under my breath, loud enough for Sue to hear it. And I asked Sue to marry me at that point in time. So it was probably the worst proposal in the history of mankind. So.
What was her reaction like?
She actually didn't even answer for 10 or 15 minutes, and we kind of, I don't want to say continued fighting, and I asked her 2 or 3 times, and she finally said yes. So it was not your by the book proposal, that's for damn sure.
Such a romantic.
Yeah, never been accused of that.
All right, so you have 3 kids. 2 of your daughters are about to get married. What do you think of that?
I think both of them are happier than they've ever been in their whole lives, and that's all I can ask for as a dad. They both seem really excited, really happy, and definitely ready to move on to the next stage of their lives.
Nice. How has your life been different than you imagined it would be?
My adult life, other than my kids getting sick a couple times, has been about as good as could be. It's kind of almost the American dream. You only get married once, you have your 3 kids, they all become, if not successful, at least happy, which is awesome. I'm making more money than I ever thought I would, and living a lifestyle that, again, is kind of sort of the American dream. So it really has turned out even better than I would have thought, I guess, but not necessarily different, because this is what I would have. This is what I had kind of imagined when I was 22 years old, and this is what I wanted. So
nice. Describe an ideal day in your childhood.
So I was a big sports fan growing up. So I'm sure it would have had something to do with both playing sports and then going seeing a professional game. When I was a sports nerd, so I probably would have been one of those of have a Saturday, baseball game, and then gone and seen the Dodgers play that night or something to that effect. It was just. I lived sports. I mean, for most of my childhood.
All right, and what about today? Describe an ideal day.
Almost anything with my kids. They just have to say, "Dad, do you wanna?" And it's yes. I don't care what the wanna is. Okay, and that was not a Big Bang reference.
Yeah.
But they may not view it this way, but anything I can do to help my kids, I usually do. Anything I can do to make my kids' lives better, I try to do. And anytime I get to hang out with them, it's kind of the highlight of my day.
Nice. All right, so what are you most proud of?
I think there's kind of 2 or 3 things that pop into my head. So I'll start with my kids, because I'm really proud of all 3 of them for very, very different reasons. I think each of them has their own strengths, and I'm proud of them for who they've become. They're all independent. It's nice, that kind of thing. My company that I built, I have so much pride in that because, or not just the job, not just the company I've built, but even just the career that I've created for myself. I think within the city of Austin, I have a really good reputation for my knowledge and for my ability to work with people and get things done. Very, very, very proud of that too. So, yeah, and then just being able to create the financial life that for my kids and my wife that I think that all three of them have been able to enjoy and appreciate.
Nice. All right, just a couple more questions. How do you imagine the last 5 or 10 years of your life is going to be like?
The last 5 or 10? Bored out of my mind.
Why so?
It scares the hell out of me. We just became an empty nester, and I'm already struggling with how to keep myself entertained. I feel like I've had a lot of passions when I was younger. I've lost a lot of those passions, and I've tried to, I think, almost artificially create some passions by doing stuff. So just experimenting with different things, and I haven't found anything yet. So I feel, other than my kids, the one thing that I'm passionate about is my work, and I don't, the last 10 years of my life, I assume I won't be doing a whole bunch of that. The other thing is my kids are going to have their own families, so they're not going to be able to hang out with me as much as I want. So those are the two things that scare the heck out of me for those last 10 years of my life, because I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to be bored.
During those years, where do you think you'll be?
Probably here in Central Texas. I wouldn't doubt if I'm somewhat associated with, buying 100 acres, kind of running a kids camp, etc. I'll probably be too old to participate much, but I will help out as much as I can, both mentally and, if I can, physically, and especially financially.
Where do you want to be buried?
Don't care.
Do you want to be cremated, or?
I don't care. I have no druthers whatsoever. Just.
Would you like there to be a funeral?
No.
You would not like there to be one, or you don't care?
I don't want one.
You don't want one. Why?
I don't like being the center of attention, and then if any reason to not be the center of attention, I think that's it. But that's just not who I am. I've never been one to try to draw attention to myself. It's just not who I am.
All right, so one last question. What would you like your great-great-great-grandchildren to know about you and your life?
Probably, this is a few generations down, but I'm hoping that the financial part that I've created so that it's for my kids to give to their kids, etc. I am hopeful will trickle down to them. So I'm hopeful, not that I'm rich or by any means, but I think I've created a path for all my kids to be in good financial situations, trying to put my grandkids and perhaps their kids, etc., on a similar path. So if I was known as the first person in the family chain to kind of put the family on that financial path, I would be, that's probably what I would probably be no. The other thing is I think most people would say that I'm about as trustworthy as you can be. Dependable. If I say I'm going to do something, I get it done. It's a core belief of mine that if you do that, you live your life that way, don't lie, just do what you say you're going to do, be trustful, work hard, etc. You're going to have a good life. So.
Nice. All right. Anything else you want to add?
No.
All right. Well done. Thank you very much.
Uh-huh.